Hey y'all, we're back again. This time we're going to be still talking Thunderbolts. This time we're going to be talking about the after credits scene. So again, just like our last review and discussion on Thunderbolts, spoiler alert. You have been warned. We are going to talk about the after credits scene. So turn away now, enter at your own risk. All right, Robert. They've been warned. Let's get into it.
Yes. Do
So
you want to start us off?
I will let you start, and I will jump in when necessary.
Okay, I'll just kind of go briefly over everything. I'm not going to talk about the mid-credit scene. I'll just go straight to the post-credits. So we rejoin the team, now newly named the New Avengers, with a new A logo. So they're entering Avengers Tower, the main, I don't know, the main, I guess, area that we pretty much where Loki got bodied by the Hulk, right? That same area.
And what's the first thing that pops up on the screen though?
The A?
No, there's something else that pops up.
Which
time.
One? Oh, yes, thank you, because this is going to drive me even more crazy. 14 months later, after the events of Thunderbolts. So they've been a team, the New Avengers team, for at least 14 months. So yes, thank you for that. That's going to drive me crazy. So yes, they enter, like, again, the main, I guess, living area. I don't know, whatever area Loki got bodied by the Hulk. So we find out 14 months later that them being called the Avengers isn't exactly going well in the public. They're losing kind of some public face. We also learned that Sam Wilson has. We don't necessarily know that he started another team, but he has trademarked the Avengers name. So we can kind of assume that maybe he does have a team, which I would like to go over some potential members maybe at a later time. So they're kind of just going back and forth as a team, discussing what's going on. Then we get an alert on Yelena's device, something about a potential threat. So she asks, something, and then she asks the thing to analyze the potential threat. They still discuss. The alarm blares again, and it talks about a multi-dimensional breach. And then that's when Bucky says, "Okay, he told Yelena to tell the device, show the satellite image. Satellite image brings it up. We see the video screen, and we see a ship flying into view. As it's coming in, you see it turn with a giant 4 on it. And yes, it is the same ship from, or at least very similar to the same ship we see in the Fantastic Four trailer when they're shooting off into space. And that's where that post-credit scene ends. It is the longest post-credit scene in MCU history. So again, there's a lot of back and forth between the team about discussing where they currently lie within the realm of, are they the Avengers? Are they not the Avengers? So yes, it does seem like it's setting up Doomsday, but probably not the Fantastic Four. The way it was shot, it looks like this might be a scene, or at least a kind of like a segue scene to Avengers Doomsday, much like the Brie Larson Captain Marvel scene where she's standing there and the axe comes, like her and Thor have their moment. I think that was at the end of the Captain Marvel, right? That was a Captain Marvel. Oh no, the Captain Marvel post-credit scene was
pager.
The pager. She comes in, like, where's Fury? Yeah, that scene.
Where's Fury?
Yeah, so we don't actually see that scene in game, but we kind of see that scene leading into it. So I think that's kind of what this scene is. So that's what. Yep. So again, that's the post-credit scene. Ryan has a lot of thoughts. I'll let him get out some thoughts first before I go into it.
Thank you for your recap. I appreciate it. A couple other things I wanted to add to the recap just before I get into my little spiel. Another thing there's two other things. So yes, you did bring up that Sam had copyrighted, the trademarked the Avengers. Bucky makes a comment about like, yeah, you know, I tried talking to Sam and it looks like there's like a rift
Rift, yeah.
again between the two of them. And then we also see Bob in the
Mhm.
back. So Bob's just chilling, and he even makes a comment that he doesn't want to do anything as Sentry because he doesn't want to risk the void or anything like that coming out. So I'm guessing the last 14 months he hasn't done
Just done
anything or
nothing, yeah.
something happened.
No,
Yeah, because
he did
he
the
even
dishes. He did the
yes
dishes.
he did do the dishes. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure that
Yeah.
we brought that up as well because it's gonna tie in with my frustration with this after credit scene. Um, so I wanna say two things. One, I feel like this after credit scene does so much damage to the Thunderbolts as a standalone movie. Um, two, what I was gonna say for number two, but like I said, I feel like it does a lot of damage to the Thunderbolts just as its own standalone project. Now, the reason being and why I'm so frustrated. This ties into something we had discussed. I think it was in the top 10 summer movies. Maybe even the final predictions. My worry for this movie was that it is a victim of circumstance because of everything that's coming in the future, meaning Doomsday and Secret Wars. So it makes me wonder, especially with how they tied in the Fantastic Four, if this was just a rush job to try to tie it into Doomsday and to try to tie it into Secret Wars, or if this was something that was originally planned. I don't feel like it was originally planned, especially the way that they discuss the whole Bucky and Sam thing. So I was talking about it earlier. The thing that frustrates me, especially with the whole Sam and Bucky thing, is this constant back and forth that they have. I know they've always had it, but like it feels different now. If it honestly feels like Sam's being kind of a diva. And I don't like the way that they've been writing him and portraying him. Not compared to what we got when we were first introduced to Sam. When we were first introduced to him in um, The Winter Soldier, like this was a guy who dedicated his life to helping others. Who dedicated I wish we could see more of him when he's talking, like he used to talk with the soldiers, in the groups.
Mhm.
Like he was always that go-to, like to just help them get through things. And I feel like we haven't seen that in a long time. A lot of it now is just him honestly complaining about having to take up the mantle of Captain America. And that's why I felt the way I did about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which you can watch our previous episodes from like 4 years ago. But that was the issue I had, is that it felt like it was more about tearing down the mantle of Captain America. Not to say Steve per se, but I guess what it stands for and how anyone can take on that mantle. But it just feels like it ripped the hope out of the mantle, and it was no, this is what it means now, and this is what it's always meant. And it's like, no. So like just hearing that, like, oh, Sam's doing his own thing versus that's not what the Sam that we know would have done. The Sam that we know would have found a way to bring people together. I mean, again, look back at Falcon and Winter Soldier. I want to talk to Carly. Give me a chance to talk to her. I used to do this for a living. Let me try to reach her. He
Mm-hmm.
was willing to go to the enemy and say, let's try to find a way to make peace in Olive Branch. And I don't know if maybe that's what changed him, that experience, or what it is, but it feels weird with the way that his character would be acting like that. Like, I don't feel like that would be the case. I feel like he would be talking with Bucky. He'd be like, no, we need to come together. So having that riff, it feels too much like Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
It feels too much like they're trying hard to like have that clash where it's like, Cap versus, Iron Man sort of thing. But how
Trying to
many times
keep
have they made peace?
trying to keep the Avengers apart while this other threat comes in, right? Like that's why they
Yes.
lost in Infinity War. That's probably why they're gonna lose in Doomsday. And then they all have to come together in Secret War. No, I get that. Yeah. It's kind of
Yeah.
repeating this.
And yes, but they're doing it in such a weird way that it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like,
Because
it doesn't make sense because it's going against the character's nature.
it
It's
did
going
feel like,
against of what we've established with what they would do.
yeah, I guess. So, yeah, I mean, considering what they overcame in the Falcon and Winter Soldier, and it seemed like they were like actually really identifying as like the best friends, right? Going forward, that it does seem kind of weird. At least with when it came to Tony and Cap, like you kind of like even from the first time they met, they always had some kind of conflicting ideologies, right? Like, yeah, Cap was like the perfect whatever, right? And Tony kind of resented him because again, he said again, quote, that's the guy my dad never shut up about. Like he probably heard his entire life about Steve Rogers. And then so you kind of got that even then when Tony would do some dumb stuff in like Age of Ultron, creating Ultron. You kind of
Yeah.
always saw those rifts, right? Like just I mean they were small, but then again those smalls can what happens when you like barely rip some canvas, right? Like you can't rip canvas, you barely rip it and it just unravels, right? So yeah, it does seem kind of weird. Like if we had been shown something like between Bucky and Sam over the course maybe of another movie or two, it might be more believable. But like right now, okay, yeah, okay, y'all are it didn't go well. Okay, well, what does that mean? Y'all just had a spat, and what, 14 months later or 6 months later, y'all are still acting like children?
Well,
I
even
get
going
that. I
back
get that.
to the scene in Brave New World,
Yeah, I mean they
like,
were.
they're good.
Yeah.
They're good. Now
So
all of a
what?
sudden, like, there's a rift between,
What?
just because, oh no, you go by the new Avengers, no, but now all of a sudden Sam wants to be an Avenger.
Yeah, even
Like,
in
that's the
yeah,
thing,
even
is
in
like, Sam
Captain
is not
America.
like that. He's not that person.
Yeah,
Like, that person is the person they're describing is jilted, is
yeah, petty,
jealous, is like,
petty.
yeah, petty. That's not Sam.
No,
That
and
is not Sam. And that's
yeah,
how they're writing it.
I'm sure Sam would love to be an Avenger, and but even then, when Ross was like, "Let's put together the Avengers," he was still hesitant. Like he knew, like, okay, well, what does that mean? Is that what's kind of oversight are we looking at? Like we just because if I'm not mistaken, they appealed the Accords right during the blip. I think that's one of the
I think it's a line that's dropped in something. I don't remember
She-Hulk.
what
I
it
think it's
is.
She-Hulk. I think
Yeah.
yeah.
First episode,
I
right?
think Matt. It's when Matt and I think they're debating with her and Matt and are debating in court about identities or something.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the Accords have been appealed, repealed. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
repealed,
They're
repealed.
gone. They're gone. Um, so yeah, so now that okay, when he gets the offer, like, hey, let's put the Avengers back together. Like he doesn't exactly know what that means, right? Like, okay, cool, we can form a team, but who are we? Who's going to oversee it? Like, is there going to be oversight? Can we do it the way Steve wanted to do it? And if there's somewhere we need to be, but y'all aren't letting us, as opposed to, hey, we shouldn't be doing this, right? So I'm that is more in line with Sam, right? Like him kind of balking at the opportunity to put the Avengers together. That is in line with Sam, in my opinion, because again, he comes from a like military. He's military background, but again, he's seen the other side. Like he's went through the Accords, so he knows about hey, we probably should have been doing this. Like I'm sure they were doing a bunch of missions with when they were on the run
Yeah.
that they probably otherwise wouldn't have been able to do. They probably saved a lot of people. So again, putting together a team that's going to be, I mean, how do you cut through all that? So again, yeah, I now that you bring that up, I honestly didn't even look. I mean, I read into that line like as opposed to like Bucky's line. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, well something happened. I'm like, it seems weird. Like I know why they're doing it, and maybe they'll explain it, and we can look back on this and be like, okay, that's fine. Because I mean, again, you're probably going to get a 3-hour movie, right? So you can kind of have some exposition to explain it. It's just still, it does seem weird to just explain it. I don't want it to be explained in a throwaway line,
Yeah.
but
But
going into
that's what I mean, is that's how these scenes are written,
yeah,
as throwaway lines. Like they treat these things that should be like, no, we need to see this built up. It's
yeah,
just, oh, we'll just write it away. We'll just
but
write it away.
I
And
think
that's
that's
my frustration with this, is that this is what's supposed to lead into
mhm,
what never existed because of what happened with Kang, because of what happened with what was originally supposed to be released and
I
then
have
was
a
changed to, oh, now it's, Secret Wars, now it's Doomsday,
yeah,
now we're gonna bring this in. And it's like, no, you quoted it perfectly in one of the last videos. It's a Hail Mary. They threw
yeah,
a Hail Mary because they were like, yeah, we need something. Like, and what's gonna get people back in the seats? Bring back the Russos, bring back
yeah.
RDJ. Like, people aren't they're gonna be like, oh my god, yes, it's so
Bring back the original
shiny.
X Men.
Yeah, exactly. It's nostalgia bait. Like,
Oh,
that's
100%.
all it is. And that's so frustrating because you're treating your audience like they're idiots. And that's wrong. It's wrong, especially because we've devoted so much time to this. Like, you
Wonder.
owe it to your audience to give them a good script, to honor the characters, and to give us a reason to be entertained. But that's the frustrating thing, is like they're literally pulling it out of thin air and from other places.
Yeah.
And it's just it's frustrating to see, because again, people are just gonna look at the key jingling. It's gonna be like, ooh, here it is, here it is. And it's just like I said, for me, it's about the story. And right now, the story makes no sense whatsoever. It's literally like I've said about the Daredevil thing. It's like we wrote what we had the morning of, we handed it in and said, "Yep, here's the final product. We've been working on it, for weeks and months, and really hammered out all the details. And here you go. Let's go ahead and start filming." And like I said, that's what frustrated me so much about this, is because it's literally like, just film it real quick. Let's go.
Yeah.
We'll throw in some lines, say that, oh, look. Oh my God, Fantastic Four. Amazing. And it just, that's why the last thing I said before, like, as soon as the lights went up, well, they were already up,
Yeah, the
because
lights came up before
people
the
don't know
ended.
how to
Yeah.
people don't know how to program the theater correctly. Um, that's why the first thing I said, I was like, that sucked, because it literally ruins the past 2 hours that we just sat there going on a journey with these characters, just to have this be the bookend. And it's just like, I don't know.
So
It's
I was trying to
like I
pull
said,
up.
it's frustrating. And again, it's because this movie feels like it's it's gonna suffer because of what comes after it, because of the situation. And that's what I had said before, is that this movie, if it's a banger, awesome, it's a good thing. But this and Captain America before it are products of what comes after. So they are going to suffer because they are rushing this big tent pole, this big story that's been in the works forever, and they've been holding the cards close to their chest, even though we were told Kang Dynasty and then whatever. What was the second one going to be called?
I think it was always Secret Wars.
Was it Secret Wars?
I think so.
Right, because it was
Yeah.
Kang Dynasty, and
Yeah.
then it was Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to pivot
Let me see if I can bring
from
this
that,
up.
especially after everything's set up, and now again, it's always going to come back to Doomsday. It's going to come back to that. They could have pushed it another year and said, let's release something else. Let's film something to build up to it. But we're not going to get any build up. So it's.
I have, and I wanted to bring this up because I have the original Phase 5 lineup, and geez, there's a lot. So, yeah, February 17th, 2023 was Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm not going to go much into the shows, but if you wanted to, What If Season 2 Secret Invasion was supposed to be early 2023. May 5th, 2023 was Guardians 3. Mid 2023 was Echo and Loki Season 2. July 28th, 2023 was The Marvels. And then late 2023 was Ironheart and Agatha. Early 2024 was Daredevil. May 3rd, 2024, last year, Captain America New World Order. July 26th was Thunderbolts. So again, this tells me right here, like I want to say that there was probably another version of Captain America, obviously because of all the reshoots, right?
Oh yeah, I'm almost certain we got the third version or the third iteration of.
So I'm kind of curious if maybe Bucky had more of a role in Captain America, because it does seem odd that you would put them the focus of one of the original Disney Plus shows of Bucky pushing Sam to become Captain America, and then finally when Sam gets his Captain America movie, Bucky's just briefly in it. So that doesn't make sense to me. Like right there, it should have been probably. I wouldn't even care if Bucky played second fiddle and you just call it Captain America and Bucky. But I mean, it'd be like one of those dual starring roles, right? But yeah, and then Blade.
But that's the thing about him; he's been relegated to cameo status. Yeah. Like that's what it is. He's just, here's the legacy character. Let's roll him in for a quick here and there tip of the hat and then leave. And it's like, what are y'all doing?
If the Falcon and Winter Soldier didn't end with them on buddy terms, like almost best friends,
literally the last shot they're in the sunset in Louisiana on the boat, they're looking smiling, and then it's like they're buddies.
Like if it didn't end that way and there was still kind of like a rift between I would have loved it to have been. I mean, it probably wouldn't have been in line with Bucky's character, but
like a cliffhanger or something where they did something.
They weren't friends, right? Or they weren't like on good terms. Like they could have been on decent terms, right? But you could have still there could have been like a seed there that could have like, okay, we kind of saw this, right? But then
oh my god, I figured it out. Bucky did something with Sam's sister.
That must be it.
That would be the only thing that would cause a rift. That's the only thing.
Right? That's the beginning of the Avengers Doomsday.
Civil War. Civil War 2. Why? Yeah. Because Bucky.
Elena's like, why? What happened? What caused this? Like, Sam was like, and then that's when Sam. That'd be hilarious.
He's like, he knows. He knows what he did.
What was it? Was his sister's name Sarah?
Yeah, I believe so.
But yeah, Thunderbolts was July 26, 2024. Blade, R.I.P. September 6, 2024. And then Phase 6 was going to start with Deadpool 3, November 8th, 2024. Fantastic Four was going to be February 14th, 2025. And then we got Avengers the Kang Dynasty, which was going to open up today. And then Avengers Secret Wars May 1st. Now, they probably could have added something like a Spider-Man in between there. Maybe something else. I don't know. But that was the original. This was from a Reddit post 2 years ago. Posted by Chip008. I'll give them credit for that.
Shout out.
Right. So again, like the captain, I don't know why I brought this up, but I did want to bring it up because again, yes, this was supposed to be the opening day for the Kang Dynasty.
Yeah. And we still don't have Ironheart.
No. Or Blade. or
Yeah.
a start date. Agatha is no longer called Kevin of Chaos. Anyway, doesn't matter. But
It does
the,
matter.
new,
It
the
does.
Thunderbolts didn't even have the asterisk here. So again, you can kind of see where they were going to pivot, right? So New World
Yeah.
Order obviously became Brave New World, went through some reshoots, then the writer's strike. Here we go. So I don't know if there would have been time to include anything before or after, Cap, because it always seemed like Thunderbolts was following Captain America. But it just, yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like I mean, I don't get why Sam would be. I mean, yeah, he didn't want to start the Avengers. Like, I don't know. What all of a sudden a new team starts calling themselves the Avengers, and he gets jaded and petty, and you're right. That doesn't make sense in terms of Sam's character. I mean, again, so here's how I hear. I mean, that was one thing I did think about that line, and I was kind of like, okay, well, we're probably going to get something in the future because I do want to give them the benefit of the doubt. We'll probably get that rift of seeing what happens. Would it be enough? I don't know. We'll wait and see. I mean, it'd be just like Infinity War starting, and then all of a sudden you find out Tony and Cap hate each other, right? For whatever reason. Kind of like
Yeah.
Bruce Banner in that moment, right? Like, wait, what? We're broken up? Like, what's going on? So I think the post credit scene is again that apparently that scene was shot by the Russos, which again that used to happen way back in the day. Like the director of the upcoming movie used to shoot the previous because like the Thor: The Dark World had a post credit scene that led to Guardians, and James Gunn directed that one. And it kept going, right? But so you see the Fantastic Four ship, which again, I don't know how else you bring in the Fantastic Four. I mean, I did have a thought that I was probably going to save
Oh, you
for.
still can. You still can if you
I was
want.
going to save it, but I don't know seeing this now. Like, so my original thought of how Fantastic Four was going to end was, I don't see the Fantastic Four like losing, right? At least all the way, right? I think they would
Yeah.
lose,
But not winning either.
but not winning. So I thought they were gonna somehow, and again, this will bring in what's his name, the other Reed's incursion theory, where Pedro Pascal's Reed was going to somehow multi travel his Earth, the entire Earth, to like maybe another universe, maybe where Earth doesn't exist or something, but
So he's
something
gonna pull a Doctor Who.
something exactly
Put it in a
something
pocket
where
universe.
well that or but something happens, and then all of a sudden his Earth is like literally right next to you know MCU's 616 Earth, causing an incursion.
Yeah.
So he saves the planet from Galactus, but in doing so causes the incursion of his world and the MCU. So that's how I thought it was going to end. But I don't know what's going on. Maybe, I mean, again, I don't know we don't even know who's on the ship, right? It could just be Franklin. It could be Johnny. It could be just the Thing. We don't know. Maybe they were like, hey, sent out a ship for a distress signal because they're about to get devoured by Galactus. I don't know. But I think like the ship's going to land, and then the new Avengers and Sam's Avengers are probably going to respond to the ship, and then you might get like that's how you get like a clash early in the movie and find out the status
Civil
quo of things.
War-esque
Yeah,
style.
like a small little, I wouldn't say maybe a fight, but more like a tiff, right?
Yeah.
Um, that's how we'll get introduced to who's on Sam's Avengers, and then we'll find out maybe if there's any more members on the new Avengers that we didn't see that they didn't want to cast or show us, right? Because you got to pay the actor, right?
Yeah.
So I could see the movie beginning like that, at least in the grand scheme of things. You might have like a Doom or whatever setting the tone, like Doom going against, like Thanos opening up Infinity War, right?
And
But
that's speaking of. What were you
so
gonna say?
I want to reserve. I mean, I liked the credit scene in terms of, I didn't know how they were like what this movie's credit scene was going to be, because I didn't know it was going to actually set up. I thought it was literally going to be Sam coming in and be like, hey, we're the Avengers now, like we're the new Avengers. Like they were going to be called the new Avengers at the end of it, but I thought Sam
But
was
why did you think that though?
because Bucky was there. It was Sam and Bucky. Like Sam wanted to, they said Sam wanted was going to be putting together the new team. There's a team. and his relationship with Bucky are like, hey, y'all came together as a team like the previous team did, and it would have been Sam, the Falcon, Bucky, and all them.
And right there,
Yeah,
right there is what I'm talking about.
because I mean,
you
yes,
you had a preconceived thought of, yeah,
how,
it
yeah,
makes sense that Sam would come in. Hey, we're the Avengers now.
yep.
Like he's bringing them together. And what's illustrated in the after credit scene, complete opposite of that.
He walks
Complete
in,
opposite.
or I got it. The Thunderbolts are eating shawarma. He walks in. He walks in with whatever, and he's just like, "I want to talk to you all about the new Avenger initiative."
Oh god.
No, that'd be dumb. But
Yeah.
it'd be
Yeah.
something, better,
Yeah.
better written like that. But
better than what we got. I mean,
yeah,
I'll take campy like that any day over this, changing of the character of like, he did what?
yeah,
They're doing what? Like, no, like,
he definitely slept with Sarah.
yeah. I'm telling you, I'm calling it now. I'm calling it now.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, when I saw the scene with the ship, and I was like, I'm trying to think of, okay, well, how are we gonna get to there? Because I don't know. Honestly, I would be surprised if there is a.
They didn't need to include
No,
the
like,
Fantastic Four in this credit scene.
But see, I honestly, with this now, I don't even think we're gonna get an end credit scene in Fantastic Four. Like, if it ends
I think we are.
ominously, if it ends ominously, the only thing we will get is Robert Downey Jr. as Doom.
And
I
that's
don't
so
think we're
that
gonna
either he's gonna be in it. There's no way around that. He
Yeah.
has to, because you have to introduce him
Yeah.
into the freaking thing.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is, like you said, it's either got to be, boom, he's on the screen, credits, and it's just like Infinity War. No after credits scene, nothing. Boom, this happens, credits. Or like you said, it's an after credits scene, and then boom, lights go on.
Yeah.
Then we
Like,
get the movie. But
if we
still,
get this-
that's the issue, is it's rushed.
Yeah, if
We
get
have not
this-
built up this character. We don't know who he is unless
Well,
they
no.
introduce him in Fantastic Four
Yeah.
in some way or
Which he's not-
form, and they
he's not
talk
gonna be in the
about him,
movie
but they never
overall,
show
yeah.
him. Like, you
I
know what I
know.
mean? But that's what I
know.
mean is like,
He'll be-
that's why
if-
it's like,
At the very most, he'll be a credit scene, and I think like we won't get the Fantastic Four in a credit scene. Like, if it's gonna end ominously, like it's probably gonna end like on a, like you just got your breath sucked out on, kind of like how Infinity War ended, where like, oh crap, like it's
like
Galactus destroyed the world, and yeah, and then Fantastic Four, like, well, what happened? Well, we saw what happened on the ships, again, don't know, but I don't think we'll get like a Fantastic Four credit scene with those characters. It will be Doom.
or they take a they take a Thor Ragnarok approach.
Yeah.
And the after credit scene is just, 2 minutes later, this is what happened.
Better than 14 months. I got a timeline to construct here.
Yeah.
I can do 2 minutes.
Do you see now why I was so upset?
Yeah.
About this, like after, like I love what you said to me too. After I was like, what did you tell me? You were like, man, are you jaded now?
Are you jaded?
I'm like, no, I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated at what they're doing with the property.
And I was gonna say this, but like this Thunderbolts movie was a movie we probably deserved either at the beginning of Phase 4 or at the beginning of Phase 5.
Yes. This is not the one that you get right at the tail end and be like, okay, guys, here we go. We're gonna set this up. But again, it only works
unless you end this Phase 5 here and not just have 3 movies in Phase 6. Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at the old one. Honestly, I don't even know what Phase 5 ended. If I'm being honest with you, but like if you end, like, because you know how we always ended with a phase with an Avengers movie. I mean, I guess you had Ant-Man, right? But whatever, it doesn't matter. But you end Thunderbolt, right? Thunderbolts ends Phase 5 again, even if this was like 2 years ago, and then you have like 4 or 5 other movies, and then you like 4 movies, and then Avengers. Doomsday. Then I'd be like, okay, now we can build up. We get this new Avengers. We get Cap. We can see why they're so. We might get like a movie between. I don't know. Just yes, it is rushed for sure. They did have to pivot their plans. Even I mean, Phase 4 obviously didn't go in the direction they wanted it to. Uh, Phase 5 started off rocky with Ant-Man. I mean, they introduced Kang. I thought Kang was great. Probably shouldn't have lost in that movie. I think that's where they messed up. I mean, obviously
Yeah,
they messed up by
because they
firing him.
ripped the stakes. They ripped
Yeah.
the stakes out. They should have killed Ant-Man.
Yeah.
He should have been, and I'm telling you, he died at the end of the movie with the way that
That
that was edited and the way that it was being painted.
was a reshot one like a month before the movie came out too. That was shot in
Yeah, and that's
January.
and that's what I'm talking about, dude. That
Yeah.
is my issue with this is like, okay, we got to reshoot something real quick and you can see like oh, mm,
It was not a good. That
Zen.
one, see, now that was not a good post-credit scene. This one, I will reserve judgment on how I mean, I did like. Honestly, I liked all the stuff between the team. Right, the back and forth. Right, they've got chemistry. Again, the
Yeah.
writing of the line. I mean, that's on the writers. It's not on the whatever. But yeah, I will reserve judgment on how this is going to fit in because I mean, the old credit scene like Thor's hammer dropping. Well, we don't know what's going on here, but it was still a good credit scene. Like it's
Because
leading
it's a
up to the next one.
tease.
Yeah,
Yes, because it's a tease and it's leading up, but
yeah.
we don't know what's coming.
I
That's
mean,
the thing. Is
you
we
could say
don't know
that
what's
about.
coming. This,
We don't
we
know
know
what's.
what's coming.
I mean,
We know what's coming because they've told us
in a
what's
sense, yes,
coming.
but
And that's the frustrating part is you know what's coming. You know it's sort of like when you watch a movie or you watch a show where someone dies and then you watch the prequel or
yeah.
the story that came before it, you know they're gonna be okay because you know where they end. You know, like, oh yeah, sure. Oh
But
no,
you can
they're getting
still,
shot at or this is happening.
but you can still write an amazing story behind it. I
You
will.
can, yes, but that's not what we've had.
No, we haven't had
This
that because I was about to say,
Thunderbolts is probably the closest that we've had
yeah, yeah.
since then. Prior
Again,
to that, dude,
this should have been
nada, nothing.
like. I mean, retrospectively, I could look at least Phase 5. Like, man, I mean, Ant-Man and the Wasp. All right. Look, knowing what we know now, if they weren't gonna continue on with Kang, obviously not have Kang in this movie because Kang is not an Ant-Man villain. Like, I don't care. Like, should not have been in that movie, or at least if you do, you kill Ant-Man and then you continue
Yeah,
on the Kang storyline.
because
But like,
you build your villain. You
yeah.
build your villain and show that wow, this villain meets stakes. Like he's like
So
you
looking at
kill him.
this, in hindsight, if I'm not doing Kang, then you just make that movie have its own separate villain. Don't care who. You obviously can have Guardians because that's going to wrap up that. The Marvels, I mean, cool. Uh, again, Captain. I mean, Captain America. It's in Phase 5. I would have moved, yeah, and then ended with Thunderbolts. But again, I would have had a different version of Cap. I mean, I for the most part, I liked what I got from Cap. For the most part, there was a lot that I didn't. But I mean, again, I haven't seen it since we saw it in theaters, so I might need to rewatch it again. I've been
It's a
meaning to.
dumping ground, dude. That's
Yeah, it
all it
really
is.
is. It
It's
is.
just the dumping ground for every story that
And
we've been promised resolution, and they decided to dump everything into it and
yeah,
just say, "Here's your resolution," and it's like, "Hey, 6 years too late, man.
yeah.
We've been waiting
If
for this, and this is how you choose to
yeah,
showcase this. This is how you choose to spend the money and to use the time to wrap this up."
it
Like,
could have been done
no,
well, but it wasn't. It could have been
yeah,
done well. Like if you wrap up like 5 or 6 different storylines into one movie, like and you do it well, then yeah, you keep that writer permanently. But
yeah, and
it
that's
just
what they
wasn't.
did sort of with with Endgame, with
Yeah.
Infinity War. It's like it all led to this. With the first Avengers
Yep.
movie, it led to it, which speaking of, that's one of the things I wanted to bring up. You brought up Ant-Man. Remember originally Ant-Man was supposed to be the first Marvel movie
Oh
as
yeah.
far as the
Well,
MCU, remember? But because of everything that happened, it got pushed to the end, and they're like, "Well, we got to release it." And remember how it came out? They didn't drop a trailer for it till well, like three
yeah.
months before the movie came out, and then they didn't really do too much advertising. You remember we went to the screening, wasn't it just like us two and one other person
Yeah, I think
that
yeah,
was in
because
there?
Edgar Wright initially pitched a I don't know what you would call it,
It was a
but
heist movie. It
well,
was a
yeah,
heist
it was a
movie
heist, but
first
he
and
didn't.
foremost.
They filmed like they didn't film too much, but I mean I don't know what you would call it, but yeah, he pitched it, and originally he was signed on to direct, and I know there was like some issues over I think who he wanted to cast or the casting in
I think
general.
I think it was creative differences
Yeah,
more
I
than
think
anything. Is that he probably wanted to do it his way, the
oh, of
Edgar
course,
Wright style,
of
which we
course,
need that. Like, but they were
but
like, no, we have a way
yeah,
that
you
we
got to
do it
tie it into
here.
this, and I think he wanted
Yeah,
more of a standalone, which it still kind of turned out to be a standalone for the most part, other than breaking into Avengers mansion or the compound, the Avengers
yeah,
compound. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, it still turned out to be a good movie. I enjoyed it.
yeah. I mean, the
It was a
first
lot of
Ant-Man's
fun.
a great
Yeah, a lot
movie.
of fun.
Yeah,
But
but you know what I mean. Like, it's those little things like that. It's tied in. They found a way to make it work.
yeah, I mean,
And but that's what Ant-Man's always felt like. It always feels
yeah,
like it's sort of just like dropped in there, but what it has that's really good, well, at least the first two has, is good characters, a strong story to where these can stand alone on
yeah.
their own, and you can watch them back to back, and it's sort of like, okay, it picks up where it left off, and Quantumanium just throws that right out the window. That I don't know what it was trying to be, but it was not an Ant-Man movie. It was
Yeah,
not. It just had elements of what could be in an Ant-Man movie, and then just the recasting, the story itself was too much. And
yeah.
again, that, like you said, it's the first movie of the phase, so it's setting the
Phase five.
tone,
Yeah,
yeah, for what's coming, and it's like, this was not a strong start, and then it just got worse from there. And then, like you said, we get Guardians, finally, like, oh my god, like a saving grace, like a
yeah,
good story, like all this, and it just became the hope train after that. Well, hopefully the next one's good. Well, hopefully the
yeah,
next project's good. Hopefully the next thing, oh, this got canceled, oh well, hopefully the next thing's good. Oh, this got renamed, oh well, hopefully that's good.
yeah.
Oh, we're
And
just
then
canceling this project completely.
yeah,
Oh well,
Deadpool
hopefully
3
the
got
next.
moved up. Yeah, it was kind
Yeah,
of weird
and
because like Ant Man was subpar, then Guardians was good, right, and then the Marvels was. I mean, it just depends on your whatever, right? I thought it was a fun movie. It wasn't great. I
it
mean,
it
again,
had it had moments of
yeah,
entertainment,
yeah,
but when you look at it as a whole,
yeah.
like
I mean,
it's
weak
it, it
villain.
it's it a weak villain. It rushed the uh the story with
Mm,
the relationship building, as far as like seeing the characters that,
yeah,
like, it's, again, it's a build-up movie. It's like we've been leading to this moment where it's all gonna cross together, and it's like, okay, well, we got 90 minutes to do all that. And like you
yeah,
said, it's especially the way that it ends, like it's like the villain wasn't even the villain in the movie.
yeah.
So it's, yeah, yeah, like I said, I'm frustrated
It's okay.
with
Way
this
off
after credit
topic,
scene.
but yeah, we're go
No,
tying it
no,
all
no,
back.
no, 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 yeah,
Tying it
no,
all
no, no,
back.
no. It's
We're
it's
tying
it
it all
all
back.
ties together, because
Yeah,
that's where my frustration stems from,
yeah,
is because it's with writing like that. Like you said, it's a throwaway line, but that's the thing, is that that line itself is damaging to the
yeah.
character, to the story, and again, it just feels like, and again, I want to say that I brought it up in a previous video. We're either going to get one or the other. This is going to be a good thing, and it's going to set it up in a great way, or it's going to be, oh god, let's tie up some loose ends real quick
I mean, I
to
think
get us to the
that's
finish line.
ultimately
And
what they're trying to do. They're just trying to get to this, reset kind of the status quo of the MCU. That way they can just bring in the mutants.
yeah, and it's hurting them. It's
I
hurting them
mean,
bad. People will watch them. I mean, I know we're still gonna watch them just
yeah,
because we
it's
started this journey. We gotta
it's
finish it.
it's definitely not peak more MCU. I mean, again, you
No,
for
and I hope they
every
scorch earth. at the end. I hope it's
I
scorched
mean,
earth. I
like
hope we get new writers. Kevin Feige, I'm sorry, but you probably got to get out, dude.
I wonder how much is it from who came back? Iger came back, right? And the other guy, because the other guy was, I think he was the one that was just greenlighting way too much stuff, and it kind of stretched Feige thin. Uh,
It's
who was it?
is it Bob? Whatever his
Chap,
last name is.
ooh,
Chapwick or
hold on. Chapik?
Chapik?
Sounds right.
Chapik, I think.
Yeah. And I think once he got out, or I don't know if they fired him or whatever it is, forced him to resign, and they brought back Iger. I think Iger's, I don't know when his influence is starting, because again, a lot of this stuff was already in the works. So I'm hoping, it's they start focusing more on the quality, and you don't have to stretch even the VFX artists, because that was the whole thing.
Yeah, we need to
So
get back to quality, not
yeah,
quantity. We
let's narrow it.
again,
Let's
two
narrow the
movies,
focus.
2 movies a year, maybe 2 shows, 1 show at least,
Yeah.
and that's it. That's all you need is just keep people entertained throughout the year. Drop a special
Yep. I
every
was gonna
now and
say include a
then.
special.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
like
still
just
hoping for a Ghost Rider special, but
I could see that if they did it right,
yeah,
which they could. But again, it all depends on the hard reset.
yeah,
And like I said, it's just it's just frustrating to see
yep.
that. And like I said, that's what I feel like damages the movie more than anything is because of what it's set up with Thunderbolts. I will say I kind of don't like the title of New Avengers. It seems cheap,
I mean,
but it sort of goes with that's something Valentina would do.
oh, it's
Something
also
cheap,
it's
like
also the
New
comic name
Avengers.
when
It is the
yeah, so yeah, in the comics when Wanda went crazy and they had a whole disassembled storyline, and then was House of M first? Basically
when she creates the alternate reality.
yeah, basically when the Avengers got quote disassembled and they like broke up, there was a breakout. Electro got like super powered at the prison, kind of caused the prison breakout, and a new group of heroes kind of like formed. It was like Cap, Iron Man, Spider Man. I think Luke Cage was there, and it just like all these, they kind of like instinctively banded together, and I think they were like, well, this was fate. We all just jumped into action. This is the new Avengers. It's a pretty good storyline. And
Okay.
that's when you get
Okay.
to
So
that's
as
when you
long
get
as
to Sentry. He was in the prison. We got like the reintroduction to the Sentry, because he made himself, he made the entire world forget who he was. And then when he got like unleashed, you just see him like rip Carnage, like just boom. And I was like, that was pretty much a lot of people's introduction to Sentry. It's like,
yeah.
oh, okay,
Interesting.
yeah,
Well, good to know. Good to
yeah, yeah,
know then, because that changes things for me, um, slightly. But
right.
like I said, but yeah, I still stand by like that line. That line is so damaging
Yeah,
to everything. But you know how I feel about what's coming, and like it's
yeah.
just the Hail Mary. Like no,
So what do you
no,
think,
not.
like the Fantastic Four ship being there? Do you think they just left their world to die, or you think
So
you
my
think all four of
prediction,
them are on it, or is it just a couple?
I could tell you what I want to happen from
Is
it.
it just Franklin?
I think if anything, what needs to happen at the end of the Fantastic Four movie, I think their world needs to be destroyed. Like you have to have stakes, especially with the way that it's being portrayed in the trailer.
Mm.
I don't think I don't think they win. I think it's gonna be Thor Ragnarok ending where
I mean,
like
I
we're
would I would
losing
like that.
Asgard, like we're
I would
losing
like that
this Earth
just because I want
because
to see it visually.
it especially if we're going to tie this, and again, how much of this is being changed to fit
Yeah,
Doomsday, to
yeah,
fit Secret Wars, because the only way that I can see this, especially because they're setting it as an alternate reality, is that they're going to have to destroy this world, and they've already introduced that with Loki. They've already introduced that with Deadpool and Wolverine, that they kill realities.
Mm.
And if this is ultimately leading up towards Secret Wars and towards the combination of realities, the only way to really create stakes for this is to destroy it. Is you're gonna have to destroy it, and somehow I think they're all gonna be on the ship. If not, that would be a great way to really set the stakes. But then it becomes Superman if
Yeah,
you do that, because then we're putting um, Franklin Richards on
Richard.
the ship.
Yeah,
He's arriving. But I like what you said about because did they Ryan Reynolds or not Ryan Reynolds? Ryan Gosling signed on to MCU, right?
I
Or
don't
is
know.
it
I
still
know there
rumor?
was.
Because I think
Yeah, I
he
think there
might
was a
be.
rumor.
I think he would be Franklin Richards,
That'd be
especially because of
interesting.
how soon they did it, and because he sort of looks like he could be related to Vanessa Kirby
Yeah,
or Johnny Storm with the blonde hair.
that'd be an interesting role for him, and it wouldn't be like he would need to sign on long term, right? It wouldn't be like a
No,
multi-picture deal. It would just be like, hey,
and you need
you're an
someone with a
older,
name.
yeah, you're an older Franklin, probably mentoring a younger, like whatever. What I don't know, was that in the Fantastic Four break trailer I did about that storyline about
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, in the Secret Wars? Yeah, that'd be an interesting take. I mean, I know he signed on for the Star Wars movie, but
Yeah.
so he's in the Disney umbrella now.
Yeah. Because I don't remember if he ever signed something
I know
with
there
the
was
MCU, but I know
rumors
they
of
talked
him,
about it.
yeah, him playing a
Yeah.
character. I think the
But it would make
prevailing theory
sense
was
to make.
Ghost Rider, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
and that's what everybody wants.
Yeah,
But it would make more sense for him
yeah,
to be in this, because like I said, and it's just because he looks the closest to them,
yeah. I
to
can
where
see
he
that.
could be Sue Storm's son.
Yeah,
And then from there, like he be the one, the herald, not the herald, but sort of like how Hulk was. Like I
mm-hmm.
said, it feels like this is going to be, is it's just going to be a mirror image of Infinity War and Endgame, just flipped and inverted.
Hopefully Loki
Like
doesn't
that's
die
it.
again.
Yeah,
I would hate if Loki died again.
I could see it
I
happening.
could see it happening
Um,
too, but I would
just
hate it.
but I feel like the sacrifice would mean, not to say that it didn't mean much the first time, but I feel like it would really mean it now.
I just
But
want to be a
it's gotta
repeat.
be something like he needs to, like he already made the ultimate sacrifice right now,
Yeah,
just from season 2. Like he's sitting there until for eternity,
yeah. I
like, and
think
he's watching over everything. But he needs to be brought back in some shape or form
yeah, he's
for this
coming back.
story.
I mean, I won't get into my thoughts on this one, but because I kind of want to keep it to the just the post credit scene, we can get into future future theories.
Yeah,
But
but to tie it all back,
yeah.
yeah, I mean that's why I was so upset with this after credit scene. The 14 months later, the thing with the whole Sam and Bucky, um, it's just those are my biggest things. But again, it's because it ties into
Just the
the
rush
whole
job.
thing. Yeah, the rush
Yeah,
job, just like it feels. Again, it's it's a victim of the situation,
yeah.
and it does more damage to the final product of Thunderbolts than it does to prop it up. Without the after credit scene, I think it's like I said, 7.5. Because of this after credit scene, it drops it down to a 5 for me.
See, I don't think it for me. It didn't that didn't affect the movie itself. It kind of just it did have a slight. Now that you brought up those points, I can see how it has like a negative impact on just the overall phase, but not like
Uh,
in terms of the movie itself.
but that's why I said the movie
Yeah,
with the after credit scene. Without the after credit scene,
like
it's like I said, 7,
yeah,
7.5. But because of that, it has implications to that story, because it's a continuation of what we just saw, because we just went on an adventure with these
yeah.
individuals for 2 hours. we felt things, emotions were high, and then you want to cut it at the end and be like, oh, okay, well, this is what's going on, and this is
Yeah.
where we're going with the story. And I feel like it does more damage to them and to that story because we know where it's headed now. Versus if we didn't have that after credit scene, and the next time we see them together is in that new Avengers movie, then we already know what to expect. It's like, oh man, yeah, yeah, they've been through some stuff. But it's like, oh, hey guys, 14 months later, here's what we've been up to since then. So we get a taste of where they're at now
Yeah.
versus where they could have been had we just saw them in the next Avengers movie.
Yeah.
So
I feel like,
like I said,
yeah,
that's what I mean by that, about how like it does more harm to them into the
like,
story.
yeah. I mean, again, timeline wise, it did need to be I mean, I don't know what they're planning timeline wise. It definitely didn't need to be 14 months later because Fantastic Four is an alternate whatever. I mean, we're already in like 2027, so that would be 2028. I mean, next year it comes out as 2026 in real world time. I don't think they necessarily. It could have just been 1 month later or something. I don't know,
Yeah,
or whatever.
exactly.
Yeah,
But that's what I mean is like it's this after credit scene shouldn't exist, or at least should be something different.
yeah. I mean, or you know what? I'm thinking. So it could have. Honestly, it could have just been a Bucky Sam after credit scene where like 1 month later or whatever it is, and then like Sam comes up to him and is like, "So y'all are the Avengers now, huh?" And that's kind of where a rift can start because Sam was like, "Well, I put together a team, and then Bucky's like, well, I mean, we're like the face in public, right? The public knows us,
Yeah, like
and
that
then
would make more
yeah,
sense to cause that rift because you're establishing like, oh well, I'm trying to do this, and oh well,
yeah,
you're working for Valentina or something like that.
yeah,
But again, it's all about the approach of how they do it, to where it's like this character should not come off
yeah,
the way that it's being illustrated here.
yeah. I mean, if we would have
But
saw
yeah,
it
I like that. I
happen,
like that
if we
take.
would have saw it happening, yeah, it might be a little bit different because yeah, I'm pretty sure Sam would have a problem with Bucky working for Val, even though they own her, right? Because Sam could be like, hey, you went through all this stuff to get over, working for someone who's suspect, right? Questionable. Now you're back into that line of work, kind of being the Winter Soldier again.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when Fantastic Four comes out if it's gonna do anything.
yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, I have nothing else to say about this after credits scene.
Nah, yeah, it's good. It's good. Some good points though that were made though. I think.
Yeah, and you as well, man. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
like I said, it's always nice to see both sides
yeah. I didn't even. I
of
mean,
it.
like I said, I
It's
thought about the line, but I didn't. I didn't. I was just like, okay, well, there's gonna be a rift at the beginning of Avengers Doomsday. Between two teams. That's all I pretty much got out of it.
yeah, it's like now
Yeah,
it's up to them to write it and
yeah,
put it into existence, but we shall see. We
yeah.
shall see. But yeah, I mean, aside from that, did you have anything else you wanted to talk about on the after credits scene? Or
No, I think that was a good discussion. I think we covered pretty much everything we could.
yes, yes, yes. Well, thank you all for your time and watching as always. Be sure to like and subscribe. Get in on the comments in the conversation. We want to hear from you. And Robert, if you want to promote the rest of our stuff that we have.
Yeah, we got some couple of trailer reactions to Fantastic Four. We got one to Weapons. As a brief, we only did the teaser trailer for that. We know they've released the full trailer. We are avoiding that one. We do have a
Mhm.
couple of more dropping this weekend. We can watch our Daredevil breakdowns for episodes 1 through 9. If you really want to get into it, you can watch our old videos from 4 years ago that we did. What else do we got? We do got our. You can, if you haven't seen the Thunderbolts yet, you can watch our predictions, and then once you watch Thunderbolts, you can watch our breakdown of the movie and see what we got right or wrong. And then you can come back to this video and watch the what we thought about the post credit scene.
Until then, we'll see y'all later.